Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. We have just had another fireball explode over the United States, creating a sonic boom felt by thousands. This was on March 21st, 2026 over Texas. And this is now the latest in a long string of fireball sightings since March began, and it's starting to become very, very anomalous. This is not normal. This is not just, okay, well, we get this actually more than you think, and it's just the news running with the story right now. No, this is very, very bizarre. The fact that this is not associated with a normal meteor stream, like the Perseid meteor stream, for example, right? This isn't clustering around a period of time that we've identified that we get more meteors and fireballs. A fireball, for reference, is a meteor that shines bright enough to be seen during the day. Basically, that makes it brighter than the third brightest object in our sky, which is Venus. That is the definition of a fireball. And if they are large enough, they can actually crash down and you can recover fragments. And we have fragments now from 3 of these fireballs, the one in Germany, Ohio, and now Texas. And they can also create these sonic booms. That shock wave can shake houses, and of course people can hear it, they can feel it. So this is quite significant. This is the latest one over Texas. We got this from a live stream of a baseball match, and we see it coming down there. It also got picked up on satellite imagery because as this meteor is coming in, it is creating plasma in the atmosphere. So it actually shows up as a lightning strike from some of our observations from space. So this would be our GOES East satellite looking at Texas. So this is quite significant. Again, the latest in a long stream of fireballs that we've been encountering, not associated with any debris stream. I'll talk about where I think that these may be from, though. I've talked about before. You probably already know the answer if you've been watching. But here we have Louisiana. This is the 2nd of March. So this is really the first sighting that was out of the ordinary going back. Now, we had a couple fireball sightings in February from the United States. We'll look at the list, but this is the first one. It's like, okay, maybe something's a little weird here. Then Washington, on the 3rd of March, we see this one come in. Okay, so yeah, the 2nd of March, the 3rd of March. Now let's go to Germany on the 8th of March. We'll see this fireball here streaking across the sky, a long-lived event. Fragments and pieces of this were recovered because it crashed into a house in northern Germany. So that's fantastic that we actually have some of these meteorite fragments. And really what we need to do is analyze all the 3 different samples that we've collected petrologically and also geochemically to see if they're the same or different, right? What are the differences, if there are any? Here we see Pennsylvania on the 9th of March. So just a day after Germany, we had a fireball sighting over Pennsylvania. Now we go to New York on the 11th, a big fireball right around midnight there. So that's New York on the 11th. And then we have our fireball over Ohio on the 17th. This created a big sonic boom, exploded with the force of 250 tons of TNT. It's estimated to be about 6 feet across and weigh about 7 tons. So this is the biggest event of the bunch based off of what I know. And then, of course, going back to our latest, we have here Texas. Size 1 foot across, weight about 1 ton, exploded with energy about 26 tons of TNT. And fragments have been recovered from these. Let me show you, well, at least some of them. Let me show you these fragments. We have them right here. So these are 3 photos. Here we see the first one, which is Germany, okay? So you'll notice the fusion crust on the outside. So the black is where it was being exposed to the atmosphere and it was melting. The white is the actual meteorite material, okay? So keep that in mind. And then we can look at our follow-up with Ohio, the 17th. We think that this is associated with it. We don't exactly know, right? There's some ambiguity. The German one is pretty sure because it crashed into a house. So then you kind of know when you find a piece of rock sticking in your wall, it's probably it, right? It's like a catcher's mitt. This exploded over a large area in Ohio. We think that this is associated with that fireball. And you notice that it looks fairly similar to what we have with Germany. Of course, there is similarity with meteorites and asteroids and stuff in space, but this is kind of key that they're not looking dramatically different, because there is a lot of variation at the same time with asteroids. Now we see our fragment recovered from a home in Texas. And so we see the fusion crust on the outside. Notice the inside with that mottled white gray color. So they're all looking very, very similar. That's kind of the key thing I want to show you here. They're all looking very similar. We need to do a proper analysis of these fragments to see if they are separate or perhaps they are the same. Because if they are the same, then we are in a debris stream that is basically unknown. Though I think I know what it may be. At least it's a hypothesis that's worthy of exploration. Here we see our NASA Skyfall database. And we just scroll down, and what we're primarily interested in here is just the occurrences. Now, this is not for the entire world. Something to keep in mind is that these fireballs that we've seen have been over populated areas. If these are the ones that we've been seeing, how many have been flying in over completely uninhabited parts of the world, of the oceans, Antarctica, and more, right? There very likely is, if this is connected to a debris stream, way more of these fireballs flying in than we currently are aware of. But here we can see the list going back. So we have the 21st, the 17th, 11th, 9th, 4th, 3rd of March, just like described. Louisiana, you can read the list, okay? We have a couple here in February. We see the 3rd of February, the 11th of February right here. And then we have a bit of a clustering there in December. You see 4 different events there for December. Well, we encounter the Gemini meteor stream in December, right in this time frame, about the 5th to the 20th of December. So this is most likely associated with that. I mean, I have to go through every single one here and look at them. Maybe one of them is just an oddball, but they typically will talk about whether they think it came from. So the fact that we have 4 clustering in that time period where there's a very well-known meteor stream that we encounter, so that's what it is. But if you look at these, you'll see it basically say like, we don't know what this is from. There's no currently active meteor shower, part of the sporadic background meteor complex. Well, if it's part of the sporadic background, yeah, the word sporadic implies that there is some level of variability there, but this isn't sporadic at this point, because we're getting way more than we would think. Another key clue here, in my mind, as it relates to what this is from, is the fact that this is now stretching over 20 days. And if we continue to see these fireball sightings through the rest of March and into April, then I think this hypothesis that I'm going to propose is more likely to be true. At least there's more weight in its court, because you see here our solar system, the inner solar system there. Here we have Jupiter. You see Interstellar Object 3I Atlas. It flew through our inner solar system back in October and November. And one key thing to keep in mind with it is that it was very closely aligned to the ecliptic plane where all the planets travel through, only 5 degrees off. So when it was making its perihelion with the sun back on October 29th, it was right along the ecliptic plane. You can see this trajectory there in purple. Now it's slightly below. When it was further out, it was slightly above, but in that inner planet transit, it was right on the ecliptic plane, as you can see. Well, look at where we are right now, okay? So Earth is passing through this debris stream, and this is actually set a little ahead. Let's go back to today, the 22nd of March, and we see that we are right now at the closest to the orbit that 3I Atlas, or the trajectory that this interstellar object passed through. So it did not cut directly through Earth's orbit, thankfully, because 3I Atlas was very, very active. It's the largest interstellar object that we've ever seen. Only the 3rd one is very, very active with a lot of jets, a whole bunch of activity. If it had passed directly through Earth's orbit when we weren't there, and then we swung in, we'd probably be getting a lot of these sort of fireballs and more, potentially bigger chunks, like Tunguska, levels of city, like that's all possible. We have to keep that in mind too, because if we're seeing these small chunks, there could be a big one out there floating around, ready to rock and roll. So we hope that's not the case. But if we go back in time, we see that 3i Atlas moved right through this location, Earth on the other side. Now we're swinging through it. And again, it was right along the ecliptic plane there. The other key thing to keep in mind was that during that perihelion transit, we had a ton of solar storms launched from the sun towards 3i Atlas. So it was already receiving more radiation from a star than it's received in millions of years, right? This is 375 watts per square meter approximately. The background irradiance in interstellar space is like 10 to the negative 8 watts per square meter. So it's basically nothing. So tons of energy coming in from the sun as it relates to light hitting the surface of 3i Atlas, causing it to all of a sudden, volatilize and wake up and heat up and stuff. Then you also get plasma sent from the sun hitting this thing over and over, which happened back in October and November. And now we're moving through that orbit. Now, there's a radiative effect from the sun. So you're going to have some of this debris and dust and stuff pushed away by the solar wind. But if things are of a large enough size, they will actually filter down and get pulled in by gravity because there will be a stronger force than that radiative effect. So there's no reason to think that we can't be interacting with debris from 3i Atlas as a result of its transit. It really is an equation of size and also the trajectory and inertia, because it is traveling, at perihelion 68 kilometers per second. So any chunks ejected in line with that are going to also move out, but it also had this jet that was anti-velocity pointing out this direction. So that could mean that they got braked. Basically, if it's being ejected out at roughly the same velocity, it could then basically just fall straight in. Or if material was ejected out here, then it could curve in like this. Regardless, we are going to have some fragments from this interact with us, I would think. And while we're seeing this, we again had a huge amount of sightings just in the past 20 days now. It's really remarkable. Again, this is not including the one in Germany. Remember that. That's on the 8th. But we have Louisiana, we have Vancouver, British Columbia, Washington, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Texas. So this is starting to get very, very odd. And again, if I just show you this, here we see our list of meteor showers via Wikipedia. And if we go down to December, like I mentioned, we see there from the 4th of December to the 20th of December, the Geminids. So we see, and it also other zones here as well, other meteor streams that have, some are light, some are heavy. But if we go to March, we don't see any in March, okay? Here's basically February, here's April. Maybe a little bit of overlap in some of these, but none in March. So we're having a huge amount of sightings when there are no meteor streams, except potentially a new one from 3i Atlas. So that is your latest update for you. Wanted to give you that information. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been your host, Stefan Burns. We cover what's happening with the Earth geophysically. We also look at what's happening with the sun, with our space environment. So if you want to stay up to date on all that, then please subscribe. Thank you all so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you all very soon.